Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Chairman Smith, for bringing this legislation forward. I'd like to take a moment as a member from New York, one of the states with the worst unemployment fraud numbers, to say thank you for the work that went into this legislation. This seems like a ridiculous anecdote, but I personally, as the state Republican Party chairman of New York, which was my previous job before taking office this year, was a victim of unemployment fraud. So while I was serving as the state Republican Party chairman during the pandemic, a fraudster from an address 3 addresses ago applied for insurance in my name. Also, my home county of Erie County's district attorney was a victim of unemployment fraud. These fraudsters knew no bounds, and there were no guardrails in place by a very failed unemployment insurance system in our state to guard against this. And I won't take too much more of everyone's time here, but I'd like to quote some more New York-specific numbers of the moment. According to an audit by the New York State Department of Labor, New York State lost an estimated $11 billion during the pandemic due to unemployment fraud. In the period of 20 to 21, at the height of the pandemic, the improper payment rate increased from a high rate to 28.89%. But the thing is, this was a long time coming. My state, as many other blue states they've seen, had been seen as well, had warnings as far back as 2010 about the desire and the state of its unemployment insurance system and an urgent need for reforms against fraud. But did we act on it? Of course we didn't. Even though my state last week enacted a $229 billion budget, we, a few years ago allowed billions of dollars in fraud to be committed during the pandemic and years before as a result of intransigence and refusal to be good stewards of tax dollars. So, Chairman Smith, you may be interested to know that New York State actually completed a proposal in 2017 to begin the modernization process on its unemployment insurance to the tune of $57 million. Now, H.R. 1163 expands funding available to states to address waste, fraud, and abuse in the unemployment insurance plan. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. So it's reasonable to say that this bill, with its provisions that allow states to retain 25% of the amounts recovered in order to protect the integrity of the program, could have gone a long way towards the proposed modernization process that New York was planning to take on and didn't. And that's the purpose of the program, correct? That they allow to retain those funds.
That's absolutely correct, to help program integrity.
Well, thank you, Chairman. And I think it's clear evidence that this legislation is a common sense approach to fix a broken system in the states. Every dollar that fell through the cracks here in the form of fraud was a dollar that couldn't go to saving a business or helping a family who genuinely needed it. And now taxpayers in my state and around the country, they're on the hook for billions in fraud, frankly, money that we borrowed and we're paying interest on because we permitted this fraud to continue. Democrats have had plenty of ample opportunity, as they have in my own state of New York, after more than a decade of alerts to this problem, to ensure sufficient protections for unemployment insurance were in place. But the choice that the Democrats in Albany and Washington and elsewhere made was simple: sit on your hands and do nothing. So as a New Yorker, thank you, Chairman Smith, for your leadership in bringing this here today, as well as for helping to illustrate how reasonable and responsible that this legislation truly is. Let's cut through the hysteria here and remember that programs like these are meant for those who actually need them in their moment of need. Those who vote against this legislation are voting against the hardworking American who loses their job and depends on it as a safety net to be there for them. I appreciate everyone's work on this important legislation, and I yield back, Mr. Chairman.